Hi, it's Toby here. I wanted to talk to you about what I consider to be 3 of the biggest barriers that hold me back when I'm working through times of difficulty, or as I'm working on a project, or simply when I'm in a time in my life when I'm struggling, or I'm losing self-belief or losing motivation. And I wonder if the same things are true for you. So, a quote that I think really encapsulates how I believe we should be trying to tackle times of adversity, or should be trying to tackle projects or anything in life really, is a quote from the great tennis player Ashe, who said, "You should start where you are, do what you can with what you have." Now I think that's a really good message, because it helps to ground you in what I think are probably the correct ways of approaching times of challenge and adversity, just as much as they're the right ways to approach new projects or new endeavours. And I kind of think that they offer a way around 3 of the biggest barriers that I experience in my own life on a daily basis, and I wonder if you do too. So the first of those, I think, is being frustrated by the lack of progress that we often make. So when you're taking on a project, or you're going to, perhaps you're starting a new weight loss regime or a new exercise program, you can often feel really frustrated that you've let things get as bad as they've got to before you've actually started. And then when you actually start working at it, you find that progress isn't as great as you'd like it to be. So you're working hard, you're doing everything you can, you're applying yourself, and you're following the program, or in the case of working through a difficult time in your life, such as a divorce, you're trying to do all the right things, you're trying to work as hard as you can to make yourself feel better and to build your new life. And yet it can sometimes feel that you're actually getting nowhere. That sensation of 2 steps forward but 4 steps backwards is often one that applies, where you're putting the work in and you feel like you're deserving of the results, and you're not getting as far as you'd like to, as quickly as you'd like to. And I think that is something that we can only really overcome by just saying to ourselves, actually, what I need to do is just to keep on going. I need to do what I can right now, and keep on acting and keep on doing what I can, and just trust that eventually the results will follow, the results will come, and I will get what I deserve out of this. Starting where we are, as Ashe puts it, is also a fundamental and key point. So, I touched upon it just now, but when we're kind of going through a time of difficulty or a time of adversity, such as working through the breakup of a relationship, often we're kind of regretful of the fact that we are where we are. We hate the fact that our relationship has failed. We might be pleased to be out of the relationship, but nonetheless it doesn't stop us from feeling like we've wasted time, we've wasted elements of our life, we've put our heart and soul into something, and ultimately it's failed. And so, whilst it can be really difficult to kind of accept that, really we have no choice but to kind of accept that that's where we are, and if it's the case that you're working through financial difficulties, you might look back and think, I can't believe I was so stupid as to waste so much money, or get into debt, or continue to indulge myself when what I really should have been doing was living within my means and saving money. If it's a case that you've let your body go, and you've let your fitness go, and you've kind of you've taken the easy options, you've eaten far more than you should have done, and you haven't exercised, and actually you've let yourself get to a state where it's a real challenge to take up a new exercise regime. You hate yourself for that, and you hate that that's the reality, but you can't do anything about that, so you have to start where you are. You can't change that. The best thing that you can do is to accept that that's where you are now, and have a clear goal in your mind as to where you want to get to, and then to work towards that. So I guess the final piece in that is it's quite easy to get distracted by other people, and to make comparisons with other people and see where they're at, and then to kind of use that as a reason to either beat yourself up or to feel bad about where you are in comparison to them. Now, I've talked about this at length in many other videos and in many other pieces that I've written, but in reality, comparisons are a really unhelpful thing. And it's difficult because quite often we see other people and we see them as inspiration. We look at, say, a successful business person, and we think that they've got everything that we want. They've got a successful business, they're happy in what they do, they enjoy their job, and they're making loads of money, and we think we want that. Or alternatively, we may see someone who's extremely good physical shape, and we kind of want to have their toned body, and we want to have their level of fitness. Alternatively, in a relationship context, we may look at our unhappy relationship or our failed relationship and think that when we see our friends or see someone who we think has got a really happy life and a really happy relationship, and we kind of feel jealous of them, and we aspire to be like them and aspire to have what they have. And inspiration's fine, but at some point you have to turn off the comparison, because once you're comparing yourself to them and using all the good things that they have as reasons to feel bad about yourself and bad about what you have, then their example has ceased to become a useful factor for you. And comparisons are only good for what we can see in the public domain. People share stuff online in their social media profiles, and they put up the pictures of them having the best times and the fancy meals and the nice holidays and the kids playing happily in the park. But what people never share is, or what they seldom share at least, is their realities, the things that are actually not going so well. The difficult times where the kids are crying and unhappy and miserable, or the times when they're arguing with their partner, or the times when behind the scenes they're kind of hating themselves because they've just overindulged with food or drink, or the bad times that basically offset the good times, because as we know, everyone has the good times to offset the bad. So having those comparisons in mind is really unhelpful, and at some point you do have to switch off the attention on other people for the purposes of seeking inspiration. Otherwise you stray into the area where their example starts to become something that makes you feel bad about where you are and what you've got. And I think that impacts upon all the aspects that Arthur Ashe talked about in his quote. So, we're not necessarily accepting where we are because we're looking at other people. We're not necessarily inspired into action because other people's lives always seem a lot easier. It seems like they're getting what they want a lot easier than they are without all the work that we believe we're having to put in. And we're not seeing all the graft and all the hard effort that goes in behind the scenes when they're having to work towards something. We're only seeing, the kind of result. We're only kind of seeing the massive sales, or the toned abs, or the smiling, laughing relationship, rather than all the hard work that's gone in behind the scenes. So, we're not allowing ourselves to start where we are. We're not allowing ourselves to just get on and act because we're too fixated on what we haven't got. And ultimately, we're just ignoring our reality, and we're ignoring all the good things that we probably have in our own lives. So I guess the key thing here, and it's something I'm really looking to try and remind myself of today, because I've been struggling lately. I've been really kind of losing my inspiration and my motivation towards my wider goals. I've kind of seen some little snapshots of what could be, and some good results, and sometimes I've sold a few books, and I've had the odd article that's kind of gone a little bit viral, but I can't decide if those things are good. I can't decide if those make me feel better about myself and better about what I'm doing and give me hope that maybe one day I will achieve what I want to achieve. Or alternatively, whether actually they're kind of just negatives because they trick me into thinking that something's changing and something's going really well, when in reality, if I keep reminding myself of what I'm doing here, it's fundamentally that I just want to kind of share my experiences with others and try and maybe help some other people to get through the things they're going through as a result of the experiences that I've had. And if I can just come back to that and start where I am and just accept that I have lessons to share, just as much as I'm trying to learn from other people. I want to help other people to learn from me, just in case I'm able to help someone else get through something painful that I've gone through, or to achieve something that I've achieved and figured out maybe there's a way to do it. So that's the purpose that I need to keep coming back to, and I need to remember that I just need to act, do what I can from where I am, and make the best of it. So I know that sounds a bit glib, but I think there are 3 really key, strong messages in there that I hope you'll take away. To start where you are, to do what you can, and to just make the best of it. So I really hope that helps you. I hope that this finds you well. Obviously it's gloriously sunny, as you can see where I am today, or maybe you can't if you're just listening to this, but loving the English heat wave, uncharacteristically hot weather. And I guess I'm going to go back and get this uploaded now so that I can share it with the world. So I'd love to know what you think. If you have any comments or questions, then please do tag them in the appropriate place and I'll get right back to you. And in the meantime, this is Toby saying I hope you're well, I hope you're thriving and not just surviving, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.